Hi, I'm Mary Pepino, and welcome to Fit for You, the show that teaches you how to live a healthier and more fit lifestyle. I'm opening today with my little guy Salvatore and my friend and one of Sal's vets, Dr. Tom Reeping.
Hello.
And tell us about your you have a couple of wonderful children at home.
Oh yeah, I have a daughter, Haley. She's probably watching this, and that I said her name. That's a big deal to her. Hi, Haley. My son, Max, and my wife, Pam.
Hey guys, and thanks for letting us borrow Dr. Tom for the segment.
I'm sure they won't mind.
Today we're going to talk about, needless to say, our pets and how important they are to our family and to our kids.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I hope you enjoy the show. It's my pleasure to introduce to you one of our favorite vets and a TV star. A lot of experience at this. Dr. Thomas Reeping from the Crago Veterinary Clinic.
Hello,
welcome, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, I love this show. And needless to say, it's Salvatore's favorite show.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, he looks forward to seeing you next week for his shots. He's due. Okay. You and Dr. Zippe take great care of him. You know, we talk about people's health.
Right.
And people sometimes don't realize, and I'm probably somebody who was really guilty of that prior to having Salvatore, you don't realize how a pet contributes to your good health.
Oh, directly. Yes, very much.
And studies have shown that de-stressing is the #1 thing to adopting a healthier, more fit lifestyle.
Perfect.
And what do pets do, as you educated me?
Oh, they can really help de-stress in that entire process. There are numerous studies out there that show that owning an animal, taking care of an animal, it really helps decrease a lot of the stress in a person's life. How it does that, usually say just like taking care of and petting, that really lowers cortisol levels inside the body. And as you know, cortisol levels are directly related to stress. The higher stress you have, the more cortisol is in the body. And that can have a negative effect on the body over time. And what caring for an animal does, it's part of the process of lowering that cortisol level and increasing serotonin. And serotonin is more related to a feeling of well-being. It really helps decrease the anxiety, and it can motivate you, you know.
And those are two key hormones, because you want your cortisol levels down. As we know, it is a contributor to storing body fat, especially belly fat. And serotonin does make you happy. It makes you feel better.
It's a feeling of well-being. And when you feel better, you feel more motivated. You want to do things. You want to get out. You want to socialize. You want to, you know, be part of something a little bit more. And that makes you feel like you want to get in a shape. Sure, absolutely. And cortisol levels, as you stated before, stress people tend to develop more sickness. You know, it lowers your immunity. Having a high cortisol level at times, that's going to lower your immunity overall. It's going to make you more susceptible to getting sick and disease. So,
blood pressure?
Absolutely.
Better blood pressure, right? With those that have pets. Better cholesterol.
Right. Studies are showing that cholesterol and triglycerides, like, of course, in your field, diet and exercise is key to those. You know, not just owning a pet, but owning a pet is part of that puzzle about getting better cholesterol, getting that cholesterol down, triglycerides down. Studies will show pet owners have lower cholesterol and triglycerides. So.
And we talked a little bit about walking your pet, even if you can only do it in 2 15-minute increments, get up to 30 minutes a day, but then it forces you to get out there and move.
Oh, absolutely. You don't even realize. You may think that you're just benefiting your pet. You're benefiting just as much. 30 minutes a day. If you want to divide it, that's fine, but 30 minutes a day is key. And you're out there and you're exercising, they're exercising, so you almost have a workout buddy, you know, to get that into shape. So yeah, exercise is key.
And they are your best workout buddy, as you noted when we were preparing.
You know, that's a cool thing about having a pet. They can love you unconditionally. You know, they love you unconditionally, and they'll do whatever you want. You know, that's why they're big in helping to fight depression too. Depression's a big problem. And caring for an animal can really help people deal with depression. It gets you out more. Again, it helps make you feel well-being, and yeah, they can be part of that as well too.
And you know, I lost my father back in 11, and Salvatore, my little dachshund, was such an important part of going through that very difficult time.
Absolutely.
I was never alone. I always had my buddy.
Absolutely.
I had somebody to talk, and I talk to Salvatore.
And that's well documented. Your body actually goes through a physical change. That serotonin gets released, the cortisol levels are down, and it helps you kind of, you know, take yourself away from yourself for a moment, care for something else. And, you know, it keeps you busy, and you get to see the benefits of caring for something else. And it does. It makes you feel a lot better. And they're great partners to get away from that.
And you know, I'm very particular about Sal's weight. I think sometimes we don't stop and think about our pet's weight, but he's a dachshund, so I want to make sure that he doesn't have back issues. But let's talk a little bit about obesity in pets, because it's a serious issue.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just as serious as it is for us. You know, if you're obese, if you're even overweight, you're putting so much pressure more on certain joints, hips, knees. And for little long dogs like this little guy here, that weight's going to be felt more in the lower back. And as you know, dachshunds are real prone to back disease.
I would assume any type of, you know, long, narrow dog especially.
Absolutely, it's going to have back problems. You can see how fast he runs, so his weight's great. He looks good, so it's good. But
well, you know, and even when I have, you know, and I have, you know, people that sometimes he's never alone, so sometimes when his babysitters, but I make sure he's walked regularly. I'm very particular about what he eats and how much he eats.
You're doing so much good for him. Keeping these guys at healthy weights can do so much, you know, even in people. And I know you know that's more your field. Just keeping yourself at a healthy weight can do so much good overall.
Well, it's interesting to me how people will care more about the type of dog food they're buying, making sure it's all natural.
We get that a lot.
But they don't take care of themselves. So I'm like, now you have to think a little bit more. Take care of you like you take care of your pet.
If you can just take some of that advice and apply it to yourself, it would really do wonders, you know. These guys don't have the opportunities to go through a lot of fast food joints that we do. They're not bombarded with that. And they're also totally reliant on what you're picking. So you tend to be a little bit more selective with things like that. Whereas we can brush it off, which we shouldn't. You're right. It leads to so many other issues, arthritis, joint problems, endocrine problems like diabetes and things like that. And dogs and cats are just as susceptible to things like diabetes and joint disease as we are. Yeah,
and I want to talk about the foods and talk about the cat's issues in a minute. But one more thing, jumping back to when we're talking about the dogs.
Yeah.
When you give table scraps,
yeah,
I'm also particular to make sure they're leaner proteins. I don't give him anything with wheat.
Right.
You know, now dog treats, if they're natural and so on, but I see people feed their dog pasta and white flour, and these poor little dogs are really heavy.
The thing is, you have to set guidelines.
And I should say big and small.
Yeah, anything in moderation. As long as table scraps and those kind of treats don't make up more than 5% of your dog's daily calorie requirement, it's fine. A couple pieces of pasta are fine. You just want to make sure that there aren't 6 other people in the house giving a little bit of pasta, because it adds up. So set boundaries. You know, anything, you know, table scraps from time to time, again, aren't harmful as long as they don't make up more than 5% of the daily calorie requirements. You know, you want to be careful.
What are the foods, and I get the list sometimes online, that are really, you have to be very careful for not to give your dog? And does the same apply to a cat, like grapes, chocolate? Avocado.
You bring up grapes and raisins. We're not quite sure why grapes and raisins are so toxic to dogs and cats. They just are. There just seems to be some sort of correlation between that and liver and kidney failure and things like that. Obviously, everybody knows about chocolate. Dark chocolate tends to be worse
because of the higher cocoa content.
Right, and it causes a lot of bleeding disorders. Chocolate in general is not a good thing. Even milk chocolate, that can cause GI upsets, gastrointestinal upsets, vomiting, diarrhea. Things like avocados are not good for dogs. Macadamia nuts are not good for dogs. Obviously, alcohol and things like that can be toxic as well too. There is a product called Xylitol, and I'm sure some of your watchers are familiar with it. Unfortunately, it's an artificial sweetener. You find it just about in every artificial sweetener for gums and things like that. For some reason, xylitol is very toxic to dogs. It can cause liver failure quickly. So,
yes, if dogs get into a package of sugar-free mints that
right.
have xylitol or gum, I've read stories where they've died.
Yes, it can be, and it can happen very quickly. So, you want to be conscious of that. You want to make sure that you put those things out of reach and things like that.
Now, when I'm eating, how do you know what nuts are good and what? Like Sal likes pistachios.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're okay. I mean, how do I know the good nuts and the bad?
Yeah, it's difficult to know. In my opinion,
Stay away.
I would stay away.
Mm-hmm.
Prevention is key. Why take that risk? You don't want to find out. If he's tolerated it up to this point, they're probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
But as a rule of thumb, I just avoid those types of nuts, any types of nuts for dogs like that.
Now, you do like flaxseed oil and sunflower oil for the dog.
That stuff's great.
A tablespoon?
Even for us. Yeah, you give about a tablespoon for 20 pounds. Okay, that's a rule of thumb. And why that is so good is because flaxseed oil and sunflower oil are so rich in omega-6 fatty acids. Everybody's heard about fish oils and the benefits of omega-3s and things like that. Well, omega-6s are turning out to be just as beneficial, if not more. And flaxseed oil is really high in concentrate of omega-6 fatty acids. Why that's so beneficial is it really helps. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, okay? And it really helps increase the immune system. It's great.
So just put it in their food
once a day.
take
it yourself. Yeah, it's the same stuff you get. You could get a small bottle of flaxseed oil, take a little for yourself, and put it in your dog's food.
Well, do you know what I do? I make all my salad dressings out of it because you don't want to cook with flaxseed oil because for some reason it ruins the
See, this is why I'm a terrible cook. See, I know nothing about that.
But make it with salad dressings. I love it. It's perfect and it's easy. And then I cook with my olive oil.
See, I would have tried it and
or my sunflower
burnt down the house. It wouldn't have been good. No, that's
love your
great.
sense of humor.
That's good.
Hey, wet and dry dog food, cat food.
Yeah, this becomes different with dogs and cats. Dry food is great for dogs. It really helps benefit the teeth. Unfortunately, we found that dry food for cats, it's really high in carbs. They get weight, and it doesn't really help the teeth as much as we thought. So there's a little bit of a difference there. For cats, the new thought now is to keep your cat primarily on a wet diet.
Why?
And the reason being is that cats are terrible hydrators, right? Just do not keep themselves well hydrated. Because of that, the big things that we see with cats when they get older is diabetes, kidney failure, and a disease called hyperthyroidism. These are all directly related to lack of hydration or poor hydration. So the thought is, if you keep your cat primarily on a wet diet that is made primarily of water, these cats are better hydrated and they're less likely, not impossible, but less likely to develop those types of conditions. So it's great. As far as cats' teeth go, they've got problems whether they're on dry diet or not. They seem to have problems. But dogs, I think the dry diets are fine. Really helps keep their teeth good, unless it's a small dog. Then you have teeth problems anyways. But
we're going to talk about dental being your specialty here in a few minutes.
But I think canned or dry for dogs is fine. For cats, try to make 80-75% of their diet canned.
I found it interesting in our preparation too that you said there really isn't one great dog food for every dog or every cat food for every cat. It's kind of a personal thing.
Exactly. Everybody's got their opinion of this is the best diet, this is the best diet, and everybody's right because it probably works great for their particular animal. There are certain foods that are better for people than other people. Excuse me. And the same thing holds true with your animal. Do they like the diet? Are they maintaining a healthy weight? Are they having normal, regular bowel movements and things like that?
And touch on that a
Those are
little
all
bit because,
keys.
you know, people, people don't like to talk about a bowel movement. I give, you know, Dr. Roizen and Dr. Oz a lot of credit because they started, you know, talking about it on Oprah. And it's such an important part of determining, you know, of diagnosing. You can tell a lot from your stool.
Unfortunately you can.
So what do you want to look for in a dog? Nice, formed, right?
Yeah, you want to be regular.
What color?
You want them to have, you know, you don't want it to be packed marbles, you know, because that's straining, that's dry, that can be painful. At the same time, you obviously don't want a soft serve or cow patty type of consistency there. You want something soft. You want something that they seem to be able to have a bowel movement within 30 seconds, no problem, comes out good. And again, you want them to be regular, you know, twice a day, once a day. Everything depends on your particular animal. You know, color is important. You want a lighter brown type situation there. If it comes out real dark, real black and loose, that can sometimes indicate GI disorders, ulcers, things like that, bleeding inside the GI tract. But yeah, you can tell it. Obviously, if your dog or cat's suffering from diarrhea, yeah, you know, diarrhea can mean something, it can mean nothing. There's times where people will suffer from GI problems for the life of us. You can't figure out what you did differently. But if it's ongoing and you're noticing other things like vomiting or lack of appetite, you definitely want to get them checked out.
If diarrhea goes on beyond what, a day or two, we should be giving you a call.
Yeah, again, for every dog's a little bit different. Yeah, but if it's going on consistently or that urge is there, that, oh, I gotta go, and they're out and about more often, sure, you know, a day or two and then maybe make a call and see.
Now, in humans, if they get diarrhea, you know, we tell them to eat, you know, bananas,
sure,
eat rice.
Absolutely.
You know, do we feel the same? What should
Absolutely.
the dog be eating if he has
a
diarrhea?
bland diet is good, and what that consists of is you want to get a protein source. So something like white rice, and boiled chicken, or boiled hamburger, 2 parts rice to 1 part whatever protein source you want that to be. Say like cottage cheese and rice is good. Those types of diets are good. There are a lot of prescription GI diets out there, but sometimes you can achieve this with just something home cooked. Like
what about plain
hamburger and
yogurt
rice.
for the dog?
Yogurt's great. Some dogs don't tolerate it very well, but yeah, I think that's fine.
I say plain because watch the lights if they have artificial sweeteners in them.
Yeah, you want to be cautious. I think I think sometimes yogurt gets a free pass as being a cure-all, you know, I'll give my dog. And there are some, you said it, you nailed it. I mean, there are some yogurts that are better made than others, and you want to be cautious about that, sure. Yeah, but yeah, as a rule of thumb, it's fine.
The most, and truly, this was the most interesting thing that we talked about in our preparation that I never realized. I said, so, like, I said, I think of Sal almost like a little person, and you go, that's okay. Sal thinks of you as another dog. Tell me how dogs view us. What? This is
great. There's no real scientific, but your dog probably does not think he's a person, or he or she's a person. They're probably more convinced you're another dog, you know? And
I love that.
That's the way they're going. These guys they're pack animals, you know, and they get a group, they get a pack, and sometimes that pack is just one person, sometimes it's many. But chances are your dog doesn't know he's a dog and you're a human. He's probably looking at you as another dog.
He thinks we're all the same.
Group. He thinks we're all the same, and that's why they're going to respond to strangers, different people coming in to packs, you know, strangers, strange dogs, strange people. They're going to respond the same way, nice little bark. So chances are your animal's looking at you more like you're
Do cats
more
do
like
the same
him.
thing?
Cats can be a little bit more isolated. Yeah, they do. They see the same thing. They kind of see that, but they can be fine by themselves. Especially female cats tend to like to just be the only most important person in the house. If you have any,
and you have a female cat.
I know this personally. Yes, I don't think we can get another cat because I don't think she'll allow it. But the males tend to be more social, more outgoing, more laid back, whatever. But yeah, there's definitely different dynamics there with the pecking order of that. That's why some households complain, oh, this dog only listens to me, but everybody else they don't listen to. Well, technically you would like that everybody to be on top, everybody
Yes.
be part of it, and that doesn't sometimes happen because, again, in certain packs, there's going to be certain levels of command there, so.
Another question, because I'm always very upset when I have to leave my dog for 3 or 4 days at a time.
Yeah.
Even though he's home and with the babysitter, but and people have told me, don't worry, dogs don't know how to tell time. He doesn't really know how long you're gone. Is that true?
I would say I'm not a behavioralist, but in my opinion, I would say there is some truth to that. Some dogs and cats are going to respond if you've been gone for 10 minutes versus 10 hours. They're just as excited to see you.
He is.
Yeah,
I could go get the mail and come back.
Exactly.
Like I was gone for a day.
Exactly. So there is some truth to that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Children and pets and their immune systems. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there is a lot of documentation and studies out there that said young kids or children that are brought up in a home with pets, cats and dogs, seem to develop less allergens as they get older. It's challenging their systems while they're in their developmental phase, and they seem to suffer from less allergens. It just helps increase the immune system of children raised in that home. Young kids brought up in multiple households, multiple dog or cat households, they do well. They seem to have stronger immune systems there. Now, not to say if your child already suffers from a condition, say like asthma or something like that, bringing a dog or cat into the home is probably ill-advised because that can sometimes worsen clinical signs that are already there. But if they're brought up at a young age with these animals, they seem to have less cases of that. They seem to do a lot better.
They probably build up a nice little immunity, almost like a little vaccination
You're challenging,
would do.
yeah, in those developmental years, you're challenging that system and you're exposing it to so much so that your body's prepared, in later years to deal with that, so it's good.
I want to jump back a little bit and talk about the obese pet. If you have an obese pet and you have to put him on a Get Fit program,
right.
And if you're a little bit overweight, you could do it together, but very intelligently, don't jump in, right?
Right, set realistic goals. How often do they say that to us? Don't go from 0 to 60 like, I'm not going to jog, or I'm not going to run my dog, and then try to go out and do 3 to 5 miles. That's just not safe. It's not healthy. Set realistic goals. Small increments, 5 minutes. We said earlier 15 minutes, but sometimes, starting off slow, setting small goals, increasing those goals, once a week, twice a week, or anything like that, does better. You're really trying to go for something as minimal as 1 to 2 pounds weight loss a month. That's all. You don't want to get too much because then you get discouraged, your animal gets discouraged, and they can hurt. If there's already underlying arthritis or osteoarthritis like that, it can really make the problem worse. So my advice would be to set realistic goals. Start off small.
And get a light dog food?
Yeah, most diets out there have gotten pretty savvy. Any diet you're on, I almost guarantee offer what they would consider healthy weight or a light form of that diet. So yeah, try to stick with what you've been feeding if it's been working well for you and the dog likes it, but go to a lighter form. And then again, start, exercise programs small. Start, start light. Don't ask for too much, but you'll be surprised. Within 6 months, it'll be a different dog. And you'll notice a lot less problems, a lot less limping. They've got more energy, and you get to stay out of the vet's office a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your specialty, because dental, and when you started in practice, there wasn't much of a dental specialty, was there?
Yeah, when I went to vet school, and now I'm the old guy around here, they didn't, you have certain rotations in vet school. Surgery rotations, medicine rotations, dermatology, as a study of skin disease rotation. They did not offer a dental rotation in and of itself. It was usually attached to something else, and it was more of an elective. Now, vet schools offer a dental rotation by themselves, and because of the importance that we're seeing with this in the field, you guys are taking so good care of these animals that they're living so much longer. And, you know, we're starting to see dental disease like we've never seen before in dogs. And it's so important for the overall health of the body.
And I think the teeth are the most difficult part of especially a dog, I'm assuming a cat too, to care for, because Sal hated his teeth, you know, me and I do anything. He hated them brushed.
Yeah, it's normal.
I tried the stuff in the water.
Right.
I'm going to talk about, but the one thing I did find were these dental wipes, and now we make it a routine. I love them.
Dr. Zippe turned me onto those.
Yes,
he
me
was
too.
the one that really came to me and said, hey, you know, I think I found something. And I think he's right on that. He's a progressive guy. I was looking for new stuff, which is good. Yeah, water additives, you hear about them, you heard about them a lot. They did not turn out to have the effect.
No, and I bought 3 or 4 different types, and none of them were.
Yeah, in fact, some water additives contain xylitol for sweeping. So, you know, they've kind of fallen out of favor. If it's working for your dog, fine. You know, that's no problem. Brushing is great if you can do it.
Yeah, good luck.
And it is not a normal feeling for a dog to have their teeth brushed. They're not used to it. They don't like it. It's not natural for them. So it can make it difficult. If you can do it twice a week, that's awesome. If you just start off with a young puppy, I mean young puppy, and you get used to sticking your finger in that mouth, maybe they'll become less sensitive to it. But most dogs, like your little guy, he's normal. He won't let you do it, and that's normal. And cats, good luck. Cats are never going to let you do it. So, you know, unfortunately, right now the best thing is to have your vet check the teeth. I'm not saying that every dog or cat needs it done once a year, because it does generally require general anesthetic. You don't want to be cavalier about that. But yeah, ultrasonic scaling and cleaning is the best. You can try things like chews. I know you had...
Yes, let's talk about, because there are a variety of chews, and I want to go through the different ones, because I would often want, you know, you hear different things and from different people. So let's start talking about like the greenies.
Yeah, greenies fall under that dentist sticks and all those kind of, there's many out there. My advice about greenies or dentist sticks is it depends on your particular animal. Is your dog going to chew them correctly? Are they going to use them correctly? You know, it's all about your particular animal. If your dog takes a greenie or dentist sticks and tries swallowing it like a treat, yeah, it's worthless. And it can be harmful.
Right.
You know, it can be harmful in the long run. So you want to be careful about that. Hey, guy. But as far as like things like that, you know, dentist sticks, you want to be careful. Watch your animal with them. If they hold them in their paw and they chew them with the back molars, that's awesome. If they're not gone within an hour, that's great. If they're doing it correctly, you know, you can eat anything incorrectly and it becomes a problem. So I think greenies and dentist sticks for certain animals are great.
What about rawhide?
I think rawhides are great too. I really do. Again, it goes back to your particular animal. You know, if they're trying to eat an entire knuckle rawhide like a treat, probably not a good thing, you know. If they're chewing on it and over time, that's great. The thing you want to remember about rawhides is if your animal hasn't finished a rawhide, say within 3 days, start a new one.
This is a wow to me when we were preparing. Tell them why.
They develop salmonella on the tip. If you've ever seen a rawhide when a dog's been chewing on it, it's wet and mushy and gushy at the end. And when that sits for days, it does develop salmonella, which can be harmful to you as well too. So start a new one every 3 days if they haven't. But in general, again, it goes back to your particular animal, but I think rawhides in general are fine. Yeah.
Bully sticks and antlers.
And again, this is just from a dental perspective. I think bully sticks and antlers are a little rough. They're a little hard. They don't really, again, some people swear by them, and it depends on your particular animal. If it's working for your animal, okay. But they are hard. They're very hard. And I've seen a lot of cracked teeth, you know. And
even on big dogs?
Even on big dogs, because they do not dissolve well, and they can be pretty tough on the enamel for your dog. So, in my opinion, as a rule of thumb, not really the best choice.
What about rubber?
Again, rubbers can be a little bit tough. If your animal, these aren't going to dissolve in the GI tract. If they take in small bits, say maybe the size of a grain of rice, okay. If they're pulling off bigger parts of rubber, they can sit in that gastrointestinal tract and cause blockages and obstructions. Again, watch your animal. See how if they're chewing on it and not ingesting it, they're fine.
And when you leave them alone, be careful with what you leave. Don't leave them with furry chew toys.
Go with something that you know your animal's going to do well with. If you have an animal that is very food motivated, oral motivated, they will ingest some of these toys. Mm-hmm. And certain things like, rubber and these cottony kind of plush toys, they do not show up on x-ray well, and they can cause blockages. So if you have the type of animal that's going to not just chew and play with, but actually try to ingest, then avoid them altogether.
And even the squeaky toys, you got to be careful that they can't get in there and swallow the squeaky thing.
Exactly. Most toys are made pretty safe, but again, some animals don't know when to quit. Mm-hmm. They will just take in the whole thing, and then you've got a problem.
It's been a very strong tick season.
Oh yeah.
From all we're hearing.
Yeah.
So tell us about...
everybody knows. Everybody seems to be handling fleas pretty good. It doesn't gross people out. Ticks seem to really up that ick factor pretty high. They're pretty disgusting. Mm-hmm. But more than just, than just being a bloodsucker, ticks can spread a lot of disease. And these diseases can be pretty serious, even in people. The big 3 types of diseases we worry most about is one is called Ehrlichia. We'll get into that more. The other one's called Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. And the one that most people are familiar with is Lyme disease. Again, these are all bacteria that the tick transmits there to your animal, and it can cause a lot of bleeding disorders. People can become very anemic. It can cause stiffness of the joints, and they can hide in the body for a while, these types of diseases. So prevention is key for ticks. You want to be on a good preventative for ticks because, get them off your dog or cat as soon as you find them.
Now, explain, because there are so many, theories as to how to remove the tick. Yeah. Don't remove the tick, you'll break the tick.
Yeah, simple is better. Yeah, just keep it simple. You don't necessarily have to go to your vet's office for a tick, but again, I know they're pretty disgusting, so you can bring them in. But less is more. You don't need a big apparatus or run to the store.
Do you put a match to them?
No, I wouldn't do that. Because,
I'm so worried I'd burn the dog.
Exactly. There you go. If your dog moves, you've just burnt the dog, and then you've got bigger problems. You want to pinch the skin. You want to pinch the skin where the tick...
Underneath the tick.
Yeah, underneath where the tick meets the skin. Pinch that real good, okay? Because the head is now embedded under the skin. So you pinch it, you grab your tweezers or your fingernails, go right at the base, and just pull off. Now, the big thing that people get into is, oh, what if I left some of the tick in there? It's important to know a dead tick cannot transmit disease. Might cause a little local inflammation. You'll get a little red dot or anything like that. It's better, it's more important to get that tick off.
And will that little, whatever you leave in there, will it work its way out?
It should. It should over time. Check, if you see something that's really like a red raised bullet hole, a bullet area, have your vet check it.
Can you put alcohol on it?
I would rather use something like Epsom salts. Those are a lot easier.
In water, or just put the salt right on?
Yeah, you can put the salt right on it or make a little concoction. It should come out.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But Ehrlichia and Rocky Mountain Spotted and Lyme, these are all bacteria. They can affect people too.
Now, they are curable.
They are curable.
What are some of the symptoms of each?
With Ehrlichia, you're going to become real tired, real depressed.
Now, does the dog get Ehrlichia too?
Yes, absolutely.
So you can tell if the dog's a little off. Depressed,
they'll get anemic. Their blood count will go low. Their platelet count will go low. They can have bleeding disorders and fevers. With Rocky Mountain Spotted fever, they get a fever. They get little lesions on their skin. And with Lyme disease, again, deer ticks are the ones that spread Lyme disease. Deer ticks are your most common tick out there.
How do I know a deer tick?
They're real small. They're the smallest tick out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Try finding them. I know that's tough, but.
Well, you told me that some of them can get the size of like a kidney
bean.
Yeah.
Oh, they can turn engorged into like a marble size or a kidney bean.
Yeah.
Oh, you can become infested with it. Oh yeah, some dogs that we see, some stray dogs that come in infested, it's quite a
So, and you have to pick everyone off,
you want to try to get them off as much as you can.
Do
you want to get them off as soon as possible.
Tell us too, because I like to check, Sal, but where are the places you want to check most frequently are the little ticks hiding?
Yeah, mostly behind the ears or that little skin fold on the ear. Every dog has a little skin fold on the ear. Between the toes, under the collar, in the armpit and the groin area, and under the tail.
What
That's
about
where
a
you're going
cat?
to see them. Cats, same places.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're using like I use Frontline on Salvatore once a month.
Frontline's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when the tick, if the tick were to get in him and get in there, will that prevent him from getting the disease?
You know, if it's a tick that's carrying the disease, you know, the whole point is trying to prevent that tick from spreading. Once they bite, they're supposed to die. Usually, it takes time for a tick to transmit the disease. So if they bite Sal, they should die instantly, and that'll help prevent the spread of that disease. But Frontline by itself is not going to prevent Lyme. I mean, it'll prevent the ticks that spread it, but if you get Lyme disease, usually it's an antibiotic or something like that. Yeah.
With Salvatore, I leave water out 24/7. Now, I'm lucky. I can leave his food out. He eats when he's hungry, and if he's not hungry, he's not interested.
Perfect. Yeah.
Any particular regimen for?
Yeah, I mean, most likely you like to keep dogs. You like to feed them twice a day if you can. It gets their metabolism a lot easier. Some dogs do well keeping it out, free choice. But obviously it works well for him because his weight's good. But some dogs will just, every time somebody sees an empty bowl, they'll fill it. That's how weight can become a real problem. So twice a day feeding's probably more recommended. But again, every dog's different. So.
And I want to touch upon a pet that a lot of people don't think of, fish.
Yeah.
Calming, de-stressing.
Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah, I don't, you know, we don't see fish, but as a rule of thumb, just taking care of them, watching them swim, again, great at decreasing cortisol levels, increasing serotonin. Those are great. Yeah, fish are great.
And you know, we didn't touch on, you know, there's some very large animals, and especially the kids that are involved in 4-H and so on are great, but that's kind of a whole different vet element,
yeah, large animal medicine is, I give it up for those guys. They're great. I should be nowhere near a horse or a cow. I would know how to take a test on one, but I wouldn't know what to do with one at this point. You know, they have their own discipline there. They're great.
But you can translate get the same healthy benefits from, you know, them that you can from. Except, you know, you can't kind of maybe pick them up and have a horse or a cow in your house.
Yeah, I would leave that to the experts. I definitely would.
Hey, I want to talk a little bit too about, now, you know, some people get a little crazy about dressing the pet.
Yep.
You know, Sal's not into clothes.
Yep.
You know, Sal's into, like, you know, a collar's good.
He's got quite a wardrobe.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, wait, I'm so upset. He also has a life vest and a pair of goggles that my sister got him, but they're in Florida.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you care whether or not, you know, people will say put the little harness on them as opposed to the, do you like a harness better?
For small dogs, I love harnesses because collars, when they pull or you're walking them, they're going to put pressure on the trachea or the throat. Harnesses seem to just pull with the shoulders and less pressure on the throat, which is great. I love harnesses. They're great.
Now I have his little 6-inch leash that I usually walk him with, and then we have our retractable.
Right.
But do you have a preference? Is there?
I don't. I'm not a huge fan of retractable ones because those buttons are so tricky. Whereas the set leashes you have a little bit more control of. But some dogs do very well with them.
We have a little sun visor here.
Yeah.
I mean, really, this is a little nutso. But when we're in Florida, he loves it.
You know what, though? A lot of this stuff is perfect. If you have a small dog or a dog that has a thinner hair coat or things like that, temperature regulation is key. You know, they can get cold a lot faster. So during the fall or winter months, if you're taking that dog for a walk, which is still important to do, a jacket or coat is advised. It's good. You know?
And you know what? And he has little booties, and he hates them. But when we go outside, and it's like 0 or 20 degrees.
Think about those cold feet and those pads. Also, the other thing you got to think about in the winter is a lot of people have a lot of antifreeze in the puddles. There's rock salt around. So one thing that we sometimes don't think about is after we bring that animal in from being out in the winter, those paws have come in contact with antifreeze, which can be very toxic, very deadly, and rock salt, which can also be very destructive to the paws. So check your dog's paws.
And it's easy to wipe them off when they come in.
It takes 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have like a little raincoat, which I have to tell you, when there's a little drizzle, I know, I'm insane, right? I have to tell you, a lot of these were gifts. I'm proud to tell
Those
you,
are
I'm not
awesome.
quite as nuts as...
If he wears them, that's great. Yeah, some dogs don't
and a
like
little
the white.
sweater here.
I think those are great.
The sweater's
I
wonderful
really
because I put it on him. He can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
no,
you have
I
to
think
wear
that's
that
great.
one.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I really do.
Any other tips or advice you want to leave our viewers with?
No, I think we covered a lot.
We did.
No, I think that's great. I think.
Heartworm. Let's touch on heartworm real quick.
Oh yeah, now they're saying you should be on it year round.
Okay.
And I know that everybody says, but we don't. Mosquitoes spread heartworm. Okay, even if your dog rarely ever goes outside, if you've ever found a mosquito in the house, it can transmit heartworm. You know, so prevention is key.
And I do my flea and tick all year round too.
No, I know that stuff's expensive. I do. But the treatment for heartworm is, it really puts the animal through a lot. It can be expensive. It can have long-term negative effects on the heart. So that once-a-month pill is huge. It also really helps benefit the intestinal tract as well too. Most heartworm products are going to help treat intestinal parasites like roundworms and hookworms and things like that. So I think it's great to keep them on it once. You know, get it where you can. There are online pharmacies, sometimes you need a script, but it's more important to have them on it.
What about brushing their coats?
I think that's great. Yeah.
Once a week, twice a week?
Brushing the coats, it keeps you in contact with your animal. You know, it lets you pick up early things, lumps, bumps, little growths on the skin like that. It gives you the opportunity to pick up things quickly, and especially on older animals that might develop skin lesions and skin growths, you want to get to those quickly, and sometimes they're hidden underneath the fur. So brushing your dog frequently, a couple times a week, really gets an early jump on things like that. So yeah, I think that's great.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Reeping, it is such a pleasure having you.
Fun.
I look forward to our annual show with you. Maybe we might even have to pick it up to twice a year, depending on
that's fine.
your schedule. But
no, that's awesome.
Thank you. If you have questions for Dr. Reeping, email us, info@thefitnest.com, and we will forward them to you for a response.
Great.
And
my pleasure.
Thank you.
Good job.
And I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Mary Pepino. That's Salvatore, and this is Fit for You.